Hey, what's going on, everybody? All my pizzaholics out there, welcome to a special edition of Pizza Reviews on the Go, where I highlight my top 10 favorite pizzas of 2021. Not my favorite of all time, guys. My top 10 of the year. I initially wanted to do this video and publish it right around New Year's or so. I just ran out of time, guys. You have no idea how hard I work with my regular job and this channel, and so I didn't have the time. But hey, better late than never. It's still January, the year is still fresh, and everybody wants to know what my favorite pizzas were of the year. The pizzas in this top 10 list were rated 8.7 and higher, and so a lot of them were scored the same, and the pizzas I mentioned in this list were not my favorite in any particular order. We're going to start with Angelo's. One of my highest scored pizzas of the year, Angelo's Pizzeria in Philadelphia, was my one of my top scored pizzas, guys. Very airy, light pizza. It's thick. His round is almost as thick as his Sicilian. And but it's so light. The crust is fantastic. He's the owner of Angelo's is one of those guys who is just so passionate about his products. He puts so much effort into ensuring that his pizza comes out fantastic every single day, and I highly recommend following him on Instagram. John's a Bleecker, one of my top pizzas of the year. I ordered it with the basil, and I think that John's a Bleecker by far has the best cheese you'll find on a pizza. It's one of those cheeses that you find on very few pizzas nowadays, because it's that low moisture mozzarella that kind of sits on the line between low moisture and fresh mozzarella. You'll find it on other pies, which I'm going to mention in this top 10 list. The crust is the star of the show. You go to John's Bleecker for that crust. Nothing like the bitter taste of coal-fired char on a crust, and I think that the John's Bleecker crust differs from Pepe's in that it's slightly lighter, not as crunchy. The exterior crunch is a bit softer than the Pepe's pie, which I'm going to talk about next, guys. The Pepe's pie, one of my top rated pizzas of the year. San Marzano tomato, the blend of cheeses, the fresh mozzarella, lots of hard cheese on that thing, and the Pepe's crust, unlike Bleecker's, is slightly crunchier, at least towards the back end. Both pizzas have a very delicate chew. They're very tender and gentle. The chew is gentle, but Pepe's tends to crisp up gradually as you get towards your last few bites. That pie was fantastic. Good time having that with one of the followers and one of my viewers, Al, who joined me for that one. That was a good one. And you can't just have one New Haven pie in your top 10 list, guys. You know what's coming next. Sally's. The tomato pie, though. I love the tomato pie better than their regular pie. I think it's because their sauce, which is so phenomenal, gets a chance to stand out. That San Marzano tomato sauce, they put a boatload of it on that damn pie. And the cheese, they call it the poor man's pizza because there's no cheese on it. Well, there is cheese. There's no mozzarella on it. They dust it with a nice Parmigiano, and you could always ask for extra on the side, and that's what I did. And the tomato sauce on that pizza was by far the best I've ever had on a pizza. And so Sally's comes in at number 4. The Sally's tomato pie. What a beauty that thing was, guys. Number 5, we have Papa's tomato pies. Similar to John's Bleecker, that cheese was very similar to John's Bleecker, and it's just a rare cheese. Very few pizzerias buy it, and you know, usually you're getting that standard low moisture shred, or you get fresh mozzarella. Rarely do you find that cheese that's right in the middle, coupled with their phenomenal tomato sauce. Not traditionally a tomato pie. Usually tomato pies are made with crushed tomatoes, and this was one of those pies where the sauce was sweet, but it paired very well with their cheese, which I believe was a double blend, a blend of cheeses, hard cheese, and that wonderful low moisture mozzarella. Some of the best tomato sauce you'll ever have in a pizza, at least in my opinion. Number 6 on the list is another pie from the charming town of Robbinsville, New Jersey, called, you guessed it, DELORENZO'S tomato pies. Their sauce was actually just plum tomato, crushed and placed on the pizza. I wouldn't even consider it a sauce. That's more of the traditional Trenton way. And, you know, a lot of people don't realize that Trenton, New Jersey has their own style of pizza, which is the tomato pie. That Robbinsville city, that town is phenomenal. And, you know, they're not the original locations. They came from Trenton, now in Robbinsville. Nevertheless, guys, the recipes were absolutely handed down for sure, based on the scrumptious deliciousness of those pizzas, guys. Worth a trip, and they're very close to each other in the same town. So if you go to Robbinsville, New Jersey, hit those places up, guys. I'm telling you. Number 7 on the list for Angelo's Coal Oven Pizza in Midtown, across the street from Carnegie Hall. Good coal-fired pizza, one of the crispiest coal-fired pizzas I've ever had. Different than Pepe's, different than John's of BLEECKER, different than Sally's. Tougher exterior crunch. A lot of people may like that, including me. Fresh ingredients, good sauce. You got that bitterness from the char, and it was crispy. And it's different than the other coal-fired pizzas. It's its own. It's got its own character, and it's definitely a pizza that I highly recommend, and was one of my highest scored pizzas of the year. Number 8 on the list. Guys, did you think I was going to end the top 10 list without mentioning Joe and Pat's, the king of Staten Island? You can't have a top 10 list without Joe and Pat's. I had their pizza this year in the summer, and it was phenomenal as usual. I grew up on that pizza. I've been eating it for decades. And it never disappoints. It's always the same. The consistency, the craftsmanship needed to make that pizza is just mind-blowing. The thinness of it. You can have a million pizzas as thin, bar pies just as thin, but not the same. Joe and Pat's is a phenomenal pizza for its thin crust pies. As thin as that pizza is, it never felt like a cracker. It still felt like bread, as thin as it was. And to me, one of the top pizzas of the year. Number 8 on the list, guys. DeLucia's, or DeLucia's as most people call it. The real name, the Italian pronunciation is DeLucia, of the light bringer. If you translate it into Italian, the name means of the light, of the light. That pizza is absolutely a shining star, guys. 8.7. I think I scored it an 8.7, and I think you know, the pizza wasn't exactly my style, because it was more of an American style pizza, you know, very New Yorkish, New Jersey-ish. I'm more of a grandma margarita guy, but I still scored that pizza a high 8, because the freaking thing was just, the crust was phenomenal. And it's baked in that old oven from 1917, that original coal-fired oven, which is now oil-fired, but still an old seasoned coal oven, and that crust, one of the best. Next on the list, Santillo'S. Come on, did you think the top 10 list would be without a Santillo'S pie? And that's a place you can return to again and again and again. Every year, a Santillo'S pie is bound to make a top 10 list. It's liable to make a top 10 list, my top 10 list, because there's always a reason to go back there and order a different type of pie. And in my case, as a reviewer, review a different type of pie. Al just doesn't make one pizza. It's not like the Farah. You go, you get the Sicilian, the white pie, or the regular pie, and that's it. No. Al's got a freaking pie for everybody. And every year he's coming up with new ones and new creations. He's constantly evolving his craft and creating new pizzas. And I reviewed a pizza this past year. And oh man, I ordered it with the plum San Marzano tomatoes as well as his fragrant rich tomato sauce. One of the most herbaceous pizzas you'll ever have. And one of the tangiest, the cheeses that he uses, that sharp pecorino blend with his mozzarella, his excellent crust. So yeah, that about sums it up, guys. I hope you guys enjoyed this one. Some honorable mentions, guys. Joe's Pizza, of course. There were so many pizzas, including Joe's, that I tasted in 2021 that were delicious and just didn't make the cut. A lot of these pizzas were rated in the mid-8s, including this one, Russo's Pizza. A surprising find in New Hope, Pennsylvania. I really enjoyed that pizza. And another notable standout and honorable mention, Ignazio's Pizza in Dumbo, Brooklyn, as well as a fantastic grandma pizza that I found in Staten Island at Seppi Pizza Bar. I enjoyed that pizza so much that I routinely visit this place. And there were a lot of good pizzas that I had that year, Pizza Wagon and more. And there's only so many pizzas that can make a top 10 list, guys. And I'm looking forward to 2022 and trying some new pizzas and making a new list for next year. And I would appreciate if you guys can just hit that like button, as well as the subscribe button and the notification bell so you can watch my videos as soon as they drop. Thanks for tuning in, folks. And until next time, remember to keep those bellies full. This is Antonio, signing off.